in chat. What's up? Hello, guys. Good morning. We are live here on the YouTube, and as you can see by the title, we are talking Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie, get out of here, go see the movie, and come back and watch this live stream later, as you guys can always just rewatch it then. Let me give some shout outs. Kratos Creeper, what's up, man? I haven't seen it yet, but I'm watching your live. What did you what did you hear anything I said? But hey, I appreciate you being here. But I mean, look, I told you spoiler warning, so I don't want to hear no backlash from anyone. All right, I told y'all spoilers because we're talking spoiler talk. All right. So TikTok, I already told y'all I must end you. I must end you. So I'm live just briefly on TikTok. Kind of went live for about 15 minutes with everyone over there, just kind of giving my initial reaction of the movie. Here on YouTube, though, this is where I can kind of control the environment and we can go all out, talk spoilers. So for those who have not seen the movie, I just encourage you, like, just go watch it, and then come back and watch this. But if you're one of those people that's like, oh my god, I want all the spoilers because I'm not gonna be able to see it till like a month from now for some strange reason, then hey, you do what you watch at your own risk. You watch at your own risk. Couple announcements too before we get started. So you guys already know I'm partnered with Save Neo. I've showed you guys my saber before with them. For the holiday season, if you guys are looking to get one in your pocket, I mean, you can't put a lightsaber in your pocket, but what I'm saying is if you're looking to get a lightsaber and hold on. I'm all up in TikTok's grill. What's up, yo? If you're looking to get one in your hands, you can use my coupon code, which is JustDataLorean, and that supports me and it supports you as well. So head over to Save Neo. Go get you guys one of these. TikTok, it's in my link tree. YouTube, just go to Save Neo, SaveNeo.com, and then when at checkout, put in my coupon code DataLorean if you're looking to get you a saber or you're a Star Wars fan that's looking to buy something for like another Star Wars friend or family member, whoever. So be sure to go and check them out. Also, memberships are live here on the channel. So for those who are interested in supporting me in another way, this is a cool way that you can be involved. So be sure to check that out. Okay, enough. Let's get into Spider-Man No Way Home. Everything. We're talking everything. Xanatos. I don't know if my buddy Xanatos is here yet. Xanatos, if you're not here yet, I'm going to post the link for you to join. So I don't know if he's in yet, but if you are, I just posted the link in chat. What did I do? What did I just do? Let me remove that. I did not post the link in the chat. I posted it in my captions. What am I doing with my life? I need to finish the coffee that I have right here on my desk because I needed to kick in. Man. Okay, so TikTok, much love to you guys. I gave you guys my initial reaction of Spider-Man No Way Home. It's amazing. Definitely go see it. Avoid spoilers because you want to experience it for the first time for yourself. If you have seen it and you want to talk spoilers, we are live on YouTube now, so come on over and join us. I'll see you over there. Bye, guys. And all right, y'all, let's get this going. So, woo! Man. Here, let me pop my boy in real quick. Xanatos,
hey,
what's good?
What's going on?
Man, hold up. Oh. Okay, I'm ready now. So, man. Oh, man. So, okay. So let's start from the beginning. Overall reaction. How did you feel walking out of the movie? How did you feel walking out of the movie, bro?
I felt great. It was like, it reminded me of why I love Spider-Man so much.
Yes.
Like, all of it, awesome. The one thing I will say, and this is just my personal thing, it was fine. It was a fine ending, but like, I was bummed that MJ and Ned no longer remember. And he just like, it was a very Peter Parker thing for him to do, for him to like not remind them. But I was like, no, go talk to them. Nope, gonna. Yeah. And they put him back in like his comic roots. Like now he's going to be friendly neighborhood, and with no Tony Stark tech, he's just got the new classic suit.
That suit at the end though. Oh man, God. And that was like ripped straight from the comics. When I seen that he pulled out a sewing board, I was like, yo, yeah, man. Yeah, I absolutely love that. And a couple things though. Didn't his apartment remind you of Tobey Maguire's?
A little bit. Yeah.
I need to watch it again because I was like, wait a minute. I think it may have been different, but it had the same energy at least.
You remind me too. I wanted to, because I saw it again yesterday,
Yeah,
and I wanted to spot this. MJ was still wearing the Black Dahlia necklace, even though she didn't remember
yeah,
Peter. I thought that
yep,
was kind of cool too.
yep. My wife picked up on something. Okay, so my in-laws, we want them to go see it so I can drive them crazy because they're here with us for the holidays. So I'm like, y'all need to go see it so I can tell everybody in this house. So anyway, my wife, we were watching Spider-Man 3 last night, the Sam Raimi movies, and she picked up on something. So the bridge fight when he first meets Doc Ock, he's wearing the same kind of suit that Peter is in Spider-Man 3. If you look at images, you're like, oh shit. I mean, I don't know why I didn't put that together before, but if you look at the color scheme and everything, it's like the exact same. Even how his tie gets ripped, it's the same. So I was like, oh, I didn't catch that. And then my wife, she was saying that there's a coffee beverage like at the end, Far From No Way Home, that MJ, she's drinking, that she's serving. It's the same coffee in Spider-Man 3. If you look at the design of it, I was like, really? I didn't catch that before. So just funny little Easter eggs that you pick up on as you're watching it, man. Okay. So, man, let's start at the beginning because me and Xanatos went straight to the end. We're like, okay, we'll go to the end. We're good. We're done here. So, man, let's go to the beginning. So this movie, obviously, it starts off, guys, like, for those who've seen it, obviously, like, this picks up right after the events of, Far From Home, where, he's just in awe, like, Mysterio did that video that, released the identity of who Peter Parker, Spider-Man's identity is Peter Parker. So now, like, everyone knows he's the most famous person in the world right now. And that fame, I thought that was really interesting too, how they played on that, how you really realize, like, this wasn't like a selfish ambition of Peter of going to Doctor Strange. It was more like, I love how they played on that, where you see the people around him, people who he cares about, are all being affected, and it's not fair to them just because they know him. Like, they can't even go, like MJ and Ned, they can't even go to college because they have some association with Peter Parker. His Aunt May and Happy, like, things are, I mean, they broke up, in the beginning of the film, but not because of Peter. But no one's really safe, really, and your future is kind of just ruined essentially just by association with Peter Parker. So, you can see, like, why anyone would be like, all right, I got to figure something out. Like, there's no way of just, like, hoping things are going to get better at this point. Like, our lives are ruined. So I was like, okay, you were drawn into that understanding from Peter's point of view. Like, okay, this is my fault. How can I fix this? Because this is not fair to the people that are around me. Again, I said this earlier in my non-spoiler talk on TikTok. Literally, and I know you know this, bro, the first 30 to 40 minutes, everything you've seen in the trailers in that span of time.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what? Oh my God. And that's crazy. So, okay, let's pause for a second. Favorite villains. What were your favorite villain moments? Because the villains, Green Goblin, oh my God. He was just terrifying. He was terrifying and just excellent. And we're going to talk about him in a minute. But what were some of your favorite villain moments in this movie?
I actually heard this morning that Willem Dafoe did his own stunts.
Really?
He is 66 years old, and he did his own stunts.
Damn.
But I liked, like, at first it didn't really click, like, why not just send them all back? But then it seemed very Spider-Man to have, like, you know what, I want to fix them all. And then when Toby and Andrew were there, it's like, yeah, you're helping them too, because you're doing what they couldn't.
Wait, what do you mean? Toby and Andrew, they're not in the movie. The secret's out. I'm just kidding.
Dude, I really hate spoilers, but it's clearly marked here. If you're here, I am not to blame for you ruining it.
Yeah, no, this is like, when I was live on TikTok, I went live for a few minutes and I was like, hey, this is just my initial reaction. If you guys have seen the movie and you want to talk spoilers, because, like, for many of us, we're considerate. Like on TikTok, I don't do that because, like, me and Xanatos, we're not gonna do that to you guys. Like, like scrolling on your feed on TikTok, you're just like, okay, I gotta dodge this. That's why, like, both me and him, we went to go see it like immediately, as soon as we could. So, like, here, this is a controlled environment. So if you have not seen it, you enter at your own risk. Like, there's a title and everything. So this is really, me and Xanatos are doing this really so for us fans where we can just talk about it. Because, it's driving us crazy. We're like, we just want to talk about it with other fans that have seen it. So this is really what that's for. This isn't to be one of those, we're not those guys that's like, just trying to spoil things for you guys. This is, if you've seen it and you want to talk about it and geek out with us, this is what it's here for. So hopefully those who have seen it, y'all are here.
I really did like Electro better here, though.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was, I need to watch the Andrew Spider-Man again, I think, both of them. But I really did like Jamie Foxx's portrayal better here.
Yep.
Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, especially when he dons the hood and is like more classic Green Goblin, is like that was awesome.
Yeah, man. Jamie, I love how Lizard was even like, and in our universe, he had like a gap and a comb over. Like, I was like, oh my God. And Jamie Foxx, he captured the humor well. I really like that. It wasn't like over the top, but I liked it. And little Easter eggs, man. He was like, man, when he was talking to Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker, he was like, man, he's like, I like you, man, but he was like, I was just hoping you'd be black. There's got to be a black Spider-Man out there. And the whole theater was like, oh, we were like, we know what's coming eventually. I mean, they've hinted at Miles before in Homecoming. So, I would imagine, like, at some point, we'll probably eventually end up seeing him. I just feel like Peter needs to be a little bit older. I feel like this is kind of, and again, I feel like you might agree with this too, but I feel like the whole Home trilogy was an origin story. And you really feel that with this movie. It was like, okay, I feel that, a couple times that I cried. Number one was Aunt May's death. And before I can even get deeper into that, the fight with Green Goblin, like, when you realize, like, shit's about to go down, when they were in Happy's apartment where, you see Norman's, like, doing something, and Peter senses it. He doesn't know who it is at first. You remember? He was like, he could tell something's wrong. So I thought that was cool how they played on his spider sense where even though he doesn't know exactly who it is, he could kind of feel it. And then when it panned to Norman, I was like, oh, no. But here's the thing. It was stupid of him. It was very stupid of him to bring all of them to Happy's apartment. Yeah. That's my only hiccup. I was like, why would you do that? Like, I know you're trying to help them, but why? Even though it was still fun to see Green Goblin and Doc Ock and all these villains all together. But at the same time, I was like, why? Why would you do that?
It was a weird place to go, and it was a weird place to be like, oh yeah, Aunt May's perfectly safe here with 5 really, really bad people.
The damn Sinister Six almost. Like, what are you doing?
And I get overall why, because you had to have that with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And the look on Toby and Andrew's face when they heard half of it, they're like, oh my God, that was your moment. That was really cool too.
Yeah. And I'm glad you touched on that because that's what I was going back to with May. Like when she died, that was the first time I teared up. I will admit, I cried, man. I was like, no. I heard speculation that some people thought it was going to be Happy or they thought it was going to be Aunt May. And I was like, come on, they can't kill off Aunt May. But I think in the MCU's version, that was his Uncle Ben moment.
Yeah.
I think Uncle Ben's already died, but I don't think it was as detrimental as Aunt May. And I think with that moment and then hearing her say, with great power comes great responsibility, that was the moment he really became Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And with that, after watching this movie, you feel like it brings you back to the other ones. It brings you back to Homecoming and Far From Home when really you see this whole trilogy was an origin story itself, which I thought was really interesting how they did that. I was like, okay, I dig it. It's different the way they did it, but I really enjoyed it. Go ahead.
Well, what little I know about Miles Morales, like I don't know a whole lot. I just know from like the video games and some like the Into the Spider-Verse. But for Miles to be there, Peter Spider-Man has to have enough under his belt to be a mentor.
Yep.
And right now, that's not it. Like he's almost there. Like he's getting there where like maybe they can do a time jump even.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
like he's actually a more seasoned Spider-Man.
Yep.
But it need that dynamic needs to happen. It's kind of like essential for Miles.
Yeah. Yep.
They can't just like throw him in there unless it's from a different universe, which can happen now too.
Yeah. And I've heard rumors with Sony that they were thinking of doing a thing where the Spider-Verse Miles Morales teams up with Tom Holland. I've been hearing a lot of rumors lately and they've been coming true. So I'm like, at this rate, man, even Amy Pascal, she said they can literally do whatever they want at this rate. So do I want to see live action Miles Morales? And did they hint at it multiple times? Yes. But I agree with you. Like it's got to be one of those things. Like he needs to be a little more seasoned himself. And I feel like the whole Home trilogy was a coming of age story, and you really see that with this movie, where it was like, okay, this makes sense. This whole trilogy was an origin story itself. Now with Miles, here's the thing: a little bit about him. He does exist from in the comics from a different universe. Mm-hmm. But they could do their own thing similar to like PS4, Spider-Man, where Miles just was in that universe. You don't have to do a separate thing. But the way I feel they may do it, and it's not really sad to say it, but I feel like MCU is playing on kind of like characters in real time. So like, we've seen Iron Man that kind of started everything off, and you've seen his journey, and you also seen his conclusion, with his death in Endgame. So I feel like, in the Ultimate comics, like Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker, he died protecting and saving Aunt May, because I think he got like shot by, was it like, I can't remember. I think he was fighting the Green Goblin. He was fighting the Green Goblin and he died. And then after that, Miles Morales picked up the mantle in the Ultimate universe. And eventually in the comics, the character got so popular, they brought him over into the main universe. It's crazy. So, but anyway, the reason why I bring that up and about the Ultimate universe is MCU has always picked so much from the Ultimate universe in general with a lot of stuff that they've done. Loosely, I feel like the entire MCU is based off of the Ultimate Marvel, series. So with that being said, it makes me wonder, like, when you think of the future of Spider-Man and MCU kind of playing on this real-time thing, he's going to get older. Will there be a moment where they just say, hey, if we're going to bring in Miles, then this character needs to conclude, and then now for the next 20 years, you're going to have Miles after Peter's, purposeful, death. I could see something like that. Would I love to see them both together and him kind of mentoring? Yeah, I think that would be great. I have a feeling that's just a prediction. I could be completely wrong, but I wonder if they would play on that, where it's like, years from now, you'll see Miles come in, and then like in another movie, he gets bit by a spider, but then something happens to Peter where he has to take up the mantle. I could see something like that happening. So,
yeah. Either way, like, enough with the Peter Parker origins. Like,
stop
redoing that. I want to see like seasoned veteran Spider-Man, like middle-aged Spider-Man.
Yes.
Enough of the high school and college stuff. Just get into the middle and then like maybe give it to Miles or something. Just progress a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's talk about the thing everyone wants to hear. Yes, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in the movie. And the way they were brought in was just great.
Like, it was such a great way. Like,
I loved it, man.
My first viewing, I had two very loud women near me.
Yeah.
Boy, did they scream when Andrew came in through the portal, because they recognized him by the suit. Like, that's how well they knew his Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because they were screaming at the top of their lungs before he even took his mask off.
Mm-hmm. I like the way they did it, man, because Ned, they have Doctor Strange's little ring thing where they can open up portals, and they were like, I wish we could see him. I wish we could see Peter. And then they open up the portal, and then it's kind of dark at first, and you see those spider eyes, but you don't know which one it is. You're like, and when they first did that, I was like, oh shit, wait a minute, this is it. And I was like, and then, soon enough, they're like, Peter, and he comes through, and it's Andrew. So you realize, like, with this spell, everything that happened, all of these characters and these other Spider-Men have been brought into the MCU universe. They don't know how they got there. They don't really know what's going on. And then they try it again to try to find, Tom Holland's the real Peter, as they call it. And then that's when you see Tobey Maguire. And Tobey, I loved it, man. The commentary between Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Peters was just, it was the best. I liked
You
it.
know,
I thought
I,
it was great.
it had the same energy as, you know, how recently Steve from Blue's Clues just kind of resurfaced and came back on the
Yes,
TikTok.
yes, yeah,
Toby's Peter was like the same thing, just
yeah,
coming
man.
back, and
Uh,
like I'm so glad that they addressed like that his webbing comes out of him. Like that comes out of you. Like
yeah. It was like, and then even he was like, "Are you guys making fun of me?" They were like, "No, we just can't do that." Wish they could. All the web fluid that they have to make and run out of. Um, a couple things. I mean, I love that Toby. The commentary was hilarious because even when he was talking to Andrew, he was like, "No, you're amazing. You're amazing." Kind of like, because he's the amazing Spider-Man. So playing on that. And just seeing them all together, even though we knew, you know what I mean? Like, we knew, but like when you see it, you're just like, I don't believe it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. I feel like Toby was like the big brother of them all. He's definitely old man Spider-Man. He's a little bit older, but I dig that. And I don't know if you picked up on this, but with their commentary, you kind of, and I thought that was really badass, man, where you kind of get a little bit of, you get to know the continuation of kind of what was going on with them. So we know that MJ and Tobey Maguire's, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and his MJ, they, kind of work things out. They stay together. I'm not sure if they got married or not, but obviously they're still together. So I was like, oh man, that's good. I'm happy to see that they continued on. Andrew went on this rage, apparently, to where he went into a dark place. And I really liked how, he kind of empathized with Tom's Spider-Man, who's like, I don't want that for you. Like, and I was like, oh, that got me too, man.
the whole thing was like Toby was like the seasoned one, and like he had a very, very dramatic, like, yeah, my best friend died in my arms, and Andrew was like, dude.
Yeah.
But it was more like, he was a season one. Andrew was like somewhere in the middle, like getting there.
Yeah.
And Tom's was like the rookie in comparison. But somebody brought up this too, and it seemed like Andrew's arc was open-ended to where they could somehow continue him too in some capacity. And I think it makes me think even more now that the Spider-Man poster you see in the Morbius trailer is actually Andrew Garfield, and Morbius is in Andrew's universe.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Amy Pascal said it herself. They can literally do whatever they want. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I have been saying this for a while. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I think not necessarily just the purpose of him. Number one, this is his best performance yet as Peter Parker Spider-Man, hands down. But I think one of the purposes of Tom Holland's Spider-Man is so we as fans can see Spider-Man interact with characters in the MCU, right? But what about those other stories, like in the comics, like the death of Jane DeWolf or Kraven's Last Hunt, or those other darker, more adult-like Spider-Man stories? What if you say, okay, we want to do those, but we're not going to have the time to do that over the span of the MCU Spider-Man. So why not? We have this multiverse thing. Why not say in another universe, ... this is happening, and that's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man or Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man for a limited series type of thing. We would take my money now. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna say this. For both of them. I feel like, because I know this movie's gonna continue to do well at the box office regardless. And with that, they're gonna be like, okay, so how can we redo that again? How can we make that even better? I feel like them being in the movie, it could go two ways. Like, it was this one and done big event thing that was like, we would never forget. But that could also be a test opportunity. And I say the same thing for our first end credit scene. I didn't see the second one about Doctor Strange. If you've seen it, I'm going to let you talk about that one. But with Venom, we see that he makes an appearance at the end, right? And a little piece of that symbiote stays in the universe, right? But Eddie, I was a little pissed off because I was like, oh, we're not going to see Tom Hardy's Venom?
Yeah, I was
like, damn, come on.
I was a little annoyed because they did the end credit scene at the end of Venom 2 to like plop him into the universe.
Yeah.
And then they brought him out just so that little piece of symbiote could be.
Right.
That's the whole reason why they had Tom Hardy do that. Like they paid Tom Hardy just to have a little blob of Venom
I
stay
mean,
behind.
hey, if I was him, I'd be like, cool, y'all paying me this much?
Yeah.
Great. I mean, sure. But I mean, as fans, I was like, damn, I wanted to, it seemed like a missed opportunity. But here's the thing, bringing it back to Venom, bringing it back to the other Spider-Man, there was purpose with all of it. I'm telling you. Here's the thing, Flash Thompson, why else was he in the movie? Why did we have to see him those few times? I feel like this, when I think of the villains and when I think of Venom, I don't want to see another Eddie Brock in this universe because we've already seen it. I don't want to see another Norman Osborn because how do you beat William Dafoe? You know what I mean? I don't want to see another Doc Ock. We've already done that. That was in this film and they were incredible. So what haven't we seen yet? We haven't seen Agent Venom. And that's who, Flash Thompson turns into. If you really think about it, the little scenes that he had, I was like, there was purpose with that. Even my wife was like, why else would they have had him in there? He just seems so pointless. But when you see that Venom symbiote singing, I'm like, oh, what have they not done? What story have they not told? We haven't seen Agent Venom. So I feel like he's going to get it for sure, after Peter, for sure.
I don't know too many variations of Flash Thompson. I just remember him being a dumb jock.
Yeah, yeah.
This variation of him, he's so annoying. Like,
yeah.
The dumbest comedy relief. It's like, all right, he's fine for those roles, but making him have that, it's like he'd have to have a complete character change.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is why it makes sense. He's the one thing that stayed the same with him in the comics and in this one. He's always been the biggest fan of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So if he gets the symbiote, you know what he's gonna want to do. I want to team up with Spider-Man. So I'm saying, like, those little scenes I've seen, I'm like, why else would they have? You know what I mean? What was the purpose of really seeing those little moments of Flash? I was like, yeah, it definitely. And even in the movie, he was like, just tell everyone that I'm your best friend.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like they're playing on Agent Venom because I mean, come on. We don't want to see another Eddie Brock. We don't, we've already seen all of that. So I feel like for sure we're going to see Peter get the black suit, which I'm really excited about. And then I feel like eventually that's going to trickle down to Flash Thompson, which I think that works because I'm like, I don't, since we're not going to see Tom Hardy's Venom at this rate, we don't know. They could do what they want, but at this rate, it doesn't look likely to happen. I feel like Flash Thompson will be the one to get it. But again, man, you hit it on the nail too about, I'm telling you, I feel like it could go two ways. I'm going to say it again, two ways. Either this was a one and done big event for, this culmination of three different, Spider-Man coming together, or that was foreshadowing something else. You know what I mean? And even with Ned, you know what I mean? There was a lot of foreshadowing with him too, to where, Tobey Maguire, he was like, hey, did you ever have a best friend? And Tobey was like, yeah, he died in my arms before he tried killing me. And if you know anything about Ned, he becomes the Hobgoblin in the comics. Yeah. So I think there was a lot of foreshadowing with certain characters and within this whole movie where you're like, okay, I kind of see where things could go potentially. And now that Ned doesn't even know who Peter Parker is, I mean, there's potential for anything to happen. They're not friends right now. So who knows what their relationship could be, in the future to come.
I really hope they all come back too, because it's always up in the air with that. Like, I hope the three of them come back to continue this story to a certain extent. And I really hope Sony doesn't pull any shenanigans trying to take him away again, because that would just, mess it all up.
Yeah. When did Far From Home come out? Wasn't that like 2018?
I think so. Yeah.
2018, 2019, 21, 20. Yeah. So that was like 3 years. Wow, 3 years ago. Wow.
Part of why I think they covered May's gravestone with flowers is because it probably said 2020 on it instead of 2021.
Oh, okay.
Covered, like, that part of it that didn't say the last number.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't catch that. And yeah, Happy doesn't even know who he is. But, I think, again, when I in my spoiler-free review, and when I was telling people, like, you get everything that you love about Spider-Man in this movie. Like, now he's not relying on the technology. He doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have anyone, which is really heartbroken. It's kind of heartbreaking. Like, Aunt May is gone. Happy doesn't even know who he is. His friends don't even remember who he is. His girlfriend doesn't know who he is. But now he's kind of this young adult getting his GED, and he's got to make his own suit. Like, it's it's everything you love about Spider-Man, including the struggle and the responsibility that comes with it. And I think that they absolutely nailed it. And I was telling my in-laws this last night. I was like, there's a lot. I don't say this often about movies. Like when there's so much hype around it, you try to caution yourself because you don't want to get overly excited and then be disappointed. But I was like, holy shit, they actually did it. Like they lived up to the hype with this movie, and I don't say that often. You know what I mean? But they actually really did it. Okay, so backtracking, there was a second end credit scene. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, when were we? Okay, my wife had to pee. She's pregnant, so she had to pee, and we had to go. But I seen the first end credit scene. Tell me about the second one. I know it was about Doctor Strange, but like I didn't. I'm mad that I didn't stay.
It was essentially a trailer for Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
So it had Doctor Strange. He was talking to someone saying it was the only choice, the only way. And I'm not sure if he was talking about when he made everybody forget to seal up the universe again, because he should have forgotten too.
Yeah.
And he goes and he actually talks to Wanda.
Yep.
And she's like talking about Westview. He's like, I'm not here about Westview. I need your help.
Oh
and
shit! What?
The biggest reveal is that at the very end you see evil Doctor Strange.
Okay, I heard something about that. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like the biggest threat is you, and then it shows evil Doctor Strange, and everyone's like, bet you wish you'd watch What If now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, if you guys haven't seen Marvel's What If, yeah, definitely go and watch that so you know who Xanatos is talking about. There's an evil. So this evil version of Doctor Strange, like he was, I forget who was his love interest in the movies. What was her name again?
I forget.
Anyway, you guys know his love interest in the movie, and she's in What If, and she like dies, and he tries to bring her back to life, and every time he tries, like no matter what, it's just an infinite. Her death is imminent, no matter what. Like she's always going to die, even if it's an explosion, car accident, doesn't matter. Like she was destined to die at that specific night, that specific point. So, and it's really kind of in the origin of his story, like when he gets into that car crash. That night, she's supposed to die. So, like, that's how it happens. And he tries to bring her back. But in the midst of that, he does some crazy shit where, like, he ends up... Okay, like, to tell you in general, like, he ends up destroying his entire universe. That's how badass and crazy this evil Doctor Strange is. Like, he destroys his whole universe because of his selfish, ambitions. And he, like, gets all this power and... He becomes monstrous. It's crazy. So yeah, definitely go watch Marvel's What If so you can see what we're talking about for sure. Yeah. So and surprise. Okay, here's another thing that it really wasn't surprising. It was fine. Because me seeing all these other villains, I was like, okay, are they gonna lead up to a Sinister Six kind of a thing? And they really didn't do that. This was just more so these specific villains just so happened to trickle in after the whole spell got messed up, and part of me was like wondering, okay, is Mysterio behind it? Is he still alive? Because he's the master of illusions. So if anyone can fake his death, I was like, it's gonna be this guy. So apparently, maybe he really is just dead, and then that's fine too. Maybe they'll do a Sinister Six thing with a different Spider-Man. They can do whatever they want at this point, man. They really could. But here's my other question. And maybe you could correct me on this if I'm wrong. But remember, like, Peter said that... So the spell was like everyone who knew who Peter Parker was coming into the universe, right? So he couldn't stop that from happening. But what he could do was erase everyone's memory.
Yeah.
So everyone that kind of, for better lack of words, blipped back to their universe, did that include all those other ones that were coming in? Or who all else was coming into the universe, and are they still there?
Yeah, I think they all got teleported back, and those rips in those rips in the universe were closed before anyone else could get in there.
Okay.
But even so, it should have just like magically teleported them back like it did for the other ones.
Okay. But the other problem is this, and maybe no, I'm not thinking too hard. Screw that, because this is what I'm thinking. Since he fixed the villains. And they were supposed to die, what repercussions happened in those other universes? You know what I mean? So Norman Osborn, he's now, kind of fixed essentially. Doc Ock is kind of fixed essentially. Is it like just a hard reset button? Like, okay, everything's good now that they're back in the universe, everything goes back to the same? Or is it like, now do we have potential to visit those other universes and see like, hey, things kind of went south because of that event. Now Norman Osborn is back,
Yeah.
and that, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder, because of that, did that cause problems in those other Spider-Man's universes? What do you think?
Oh, it's entirely possible. Like,
Yeah.
say for Doc Ock, he was describing the exact moment before he stopped choking Peter in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
he gets like teleported back and it's like, oh nope, never mind. I'm good. I'm gonna turn myself in.
Yeah.
They could
Yep.
still easily all go to jail because they were still up to that point. They were still very bad and they did very bad things.
Yep.
So their only option is really, all right, well, I'm going to rehabilitate, but I got to go to jail.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially
And Doc
with
Ock really can't.
Electro. If he doesn't
Yeah.
have his power anymore.
Yep. And then Doc Ock, really, Dr. Otto Octavius, he kind of definitely became more of the good guy at the end, which we all kind of suspected, even from moments of the trailer, kind of seeing like, I wonder if he would have like a heart change, and that was really fun to see. Let's talk about some of the favorite scenes in this movie, man. Like seeing all of the Spider-Man. Okay, before I get into that, I'm sure Andrew Garfield has to feel so relieved, like everyone, that they can stop lying now, because like,
Yeah.
that scene where they're like on the the Statue of Liberty, and it's that scene, that the image that's been out for forever, that he was like, no, it's fake, it's not me. It's literally that same image, where he's there at Statue of Liberty. So I was like, oh my god, it's great to see, like, it's official. We were right. So I'm happy that I know they've got to be so excited that they can just breathe. The hype is real. They don't have to lie anymore. But seeing all the three Spider-Man like swinging together, I just, yeah, man, that was good stuff. What were some of your favorite scenes?
Pretty much every moment that like the 2 or 3 of them were standing next to each other was like, this is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
when they were swinging in, when they're all jumping in together, even when it was just Toby and Andrew on top of that building before dropping down to Tom's Spider-Man, like they looked like cool together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, so many, like, even when they were introduced through the portals, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, man.
Every bit of that was awesome.
Yeah. Brandon Conver says, talk about the different web shooters styles, please. We chatted about this a little bit earlier, but I thought that it was really fun that Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield, they were just kind of astonished, and it seems like slightly grossed out that Toby could have organic webbing, and he was like, are you guys making fun of me? They're like, no, we just can't do that.
Does it come out of anywhere else or just your
Yeah.
wrist?
Right. I probably would have been curious about that too. Like this, like where else can you shoot webs, man? Like, I thought it was really funny. And even that moment when Toby meets Andrew, they kind of like, not necessarily attack each other, but kind of test each other out. He's like, I've seen you two before, but he was like, who the hell is this guy? Essentially, and they kind of like web at each other. I thought that was really fun. So I'm glad that they touched on that moment as well.
There's so many tiny callbacks too, like when Toby is stretching his back out, he goes, "Oh, my back!" Like
Yeah.
in Spider-Man 2 when he fell and went, "Wow, my back!"
Yeah. That, and I was telling my wife this. Some people don't know, but like, I think it was either for Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3 where Toby almost got recast because he has a back problem. So there was like moments of like realism, but then also call back to Spider-Man 2 where he was kind of like going through that crisis of losing his powers and whatnot. So I thought it was funny again that they played on those little Easter eggs. Man, another thing again, like I've mentioned it before, William Dafoe's Green Goblin, and I've heard other people say like he was absolutely terrifying, probably more so in this movie than he was in Spider-Man 1, and I absolutely agree with that. Even without he didn't even need his helmet, and he was terrifying. But at first you kind of like him, and you feel bad for him because you're like, there's like this mental health aspect that's going on with this character where he's got a lot going on and he just needs help. But then when that switch happens, and it does, oh man, it goes south real quick. That fight in Happy's apartment area was it was brutal. That was more brutal than Spider-Man 1. Oh my god. And then like when Spider-Man was punching him and he's just laughing, you know what I mean? My wife was like, there are only a few people that can embody a character so much, almost like Heath Ledger, where you felt so creeped out because the way he embodied the character, it was just so authentic. And the same thing is to be said with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, where it was like, he was just so in character. And if you see him talk in interviews, he's like the sweetest guy. Like, he's really nice. But when he just embodied that character so much, you're just like, oh my God, this is horrifying and grotesque. And I loved every minute of it. It was great, man. Yeah.
That whole fight with the Green Goblin, somebody pointed out to I watched a bunch of TikToks from Theories by T because he did like an Easter egg breakdown.
Yeah.
He's on part 4 of 7 currently because there's so many.
Dang.
But he did say that there was one move that Peter did to the Goblin that was like a PS4 Spider-Man finisher, where he webs the ground on each side and pulls and just double stomps.
Oh yeah.
But he did that to Willem and he just got up because Green Goblin is just a beast.
Yeah. Yep. And getting into more with Green Goblin, I love the fact that, yeah. Oh, okay, wait. Before I get to him, other part that made me cry was Andrew Garfield. I heard rumors that he was going to save MJ.
Yep.
And I love that he did because it really gave his character the redemption he needed for himself. Because we learned in the movie, like, oh, his version of Spider-Man must have went on a darker page. Because he said, and a lot of people don't realize that Spider-Man always pulls his punches. So, like, if he really wanted to, he could, like, make applesauce with somebody's face real quick. So, that's why he's freakishly strong. And people, like, tend to forget that. So, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, like he said, at a certain point, he stopped pulling his punches. And I was like, damn, what? So, in his universe, he kind of went off into this dark tangent after the death of, Gwen Stacy. But, I definitely teared up, man, when, he saved MJ. And you can kind of see it in his face, too. It was like, oh, man. I was really happy that he had that moment because I feel like his character needed that. And it was kind of this emotional connection between all of them hugging each other, too. Yeah. Oh, my God. I was like, oh, what are y'all doing to my heart right now, man? What is going on?
There were a couple of times where it was, like, obvious what they were doing, but it didn't matter. Like,
yeah. Yep.
With the whole glider and Aunt May, I'm like, oh my God, Aunt May is about to die. But then for them to pull it off to where she got up like she was just fine, I still knew she was gonna die. I'm just like, you assholes!
Yeah,
you're trying to make people hope that she's not gonna die, but then she fell over. And then I feel like they put in that scene with Tom trying to stab Goblin with his own glider, just for Toby to block him and then to get stabbed in the back by the Goblin like full circle. But it was funny even how they played it off, like, Toby's fine. He's been stabbed before.
Yeah, I love that. I was like, and it made sense. I was like, no, come on, don't kill Toby off. Because I think that would have been horrible. Like, this movie, not only is it just for Spider-Mans, but you have generations of Spider-Man fans. So it would have been kind of like a blow to the heart to like, well, we're going to kill off this generation Spider-Man, But again, I thought it was funny how they did it, where it's like, don't worry, I've been stabbed before. It's fine.
I mean, it is a comic book movie, but there are things you have to like suspend your disbelief for, or just kind of enjoy the moment.
Yep.
Like, when he was telling both MJ and Ned, "Hey, you're gonna forget who I am." Okay, wait there until they forget, and then you can explain everything why they're standing at the Statue of Liberty with blood on their head. But no, I'm gonna swing away so you forget without me being here. Like,
yeah, and And with that moment, it made more sense at the end, when he goes to visit MJ and Ned, when he kind of sees, like, wait a second. Like, I really love this girl and I really love my friend, but they are safe. They are happy. And everything that we just went through, like, I want to keep it that way. Like, if just by people knowing. And again, I think that really plays and solidifies more into the character of Spider-Man, where he's like, anyone who knows me is at risk. Who's close to me, and I don't want to lose that. So it's going to kind of be at a distance. But, I'm sure in whatever the next trilogy will be, I'm sure that they'll definitely be there in some capacity.
I at least hope that they bring MJ back and they kind of like rectify that in a sense.
Yeah,
It was a very Peter Parker thing for him to do to like let them forget.
yeah.
But even with Ned, I'm pretty sure isn't Ned the friend of Miles and not Peter? And like,
No, so what they did in Miles' friend is Genki. So, but it's always kind of weird because Ned essentially is like Genki. Like if
yeah,
you look
yeah,
at the character of Genki and Ned, they're literally the way they look and everything is like okay, they pretty much just stole and made MCU Spider-Man Miles Morales. That's what it feels like essentially. And some people have had problems with that. Even I was kind of confused. Like, wait, why does he so much like Genki? So, um, yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do with that, man. But they definitely borrowed a lot of those aspects from that friendship with Miles and Genki. How Peter is with Ned. It's just yeah, they just kind of rewrote the character essentially. It's weird, but I don't know. I don't know. And that goes back to Miles too. Again, I agree with you on that. Like I don't think they've hinted at him a couple times for sure. But I feel like it just makes more sense to have him come at a later time. Even though I know like the character is popular. But it's kind of like right now, yeah. Do I want to see him in live action? Absolutely. But right now, he's got his own animated thing going on, which I think is extremely well. First one was amazing, and the second one looks like it's going to be hitting hard just as well, which is a part one.
yeah.
Can we talk about that? So Across the Spider-Verse is a part one, so it looks like we're going to be getting a few things trickled off with that. So I feel like with the live action Miles Morales, again, I do feel like Peter Parker needs to be older. I feel that it's going to be a send-off at a certain point. Like, we're thinking years down the road, Peter Parker is older, something happens to Peter where someone else has to take up the mantle, and that's where now you have this new Spider-Man. I just feel like that's kind of the best suited way to bring in Miles. Like, Peter can kind of mentor him, like, for a couple movies, but then, maybe he retires or he dies or whatever. Because, again, MCU is kind of playing on this real time thing, and that's kind of the way I look at these characters is like what's the appropriate way to bring those characters in. So I don't know, man. I know, we'll see.
Now I cannot wait for the last episode of Hawkeye because I'm like, what are they going to reference? Are they going to reference anything in Hawkeye from this movie?
Yeah,
Probably the smallest detail, so it's not spoiling the movie, but maybe not. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, thank you for bringing that up too, because we've seen Wilson Fisk in the episode 5 of Hawkeye. I don't even feel bad if that's spoiled for you. What are you doing? Like, that came out Wednesday. Go watch it. And then, like, after seeing that, all of us were like, okay, we know we're gonna see Daredevil. And then, of course, in No Way Home, we see Matt Murdock, and I absolutely lost it. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
that brick came through, and he grabs. He's like, how did you do that? He's like, I'm just a really good lawyer. Like, lawyers can do that? No, it's because you're Daredevil, man. It's because you're Daredevil. So
Peter was ready to catch it too. Like, he had his hand up, but Matt caught it first.
yeah. And it's just so cool to see like those Netflix properties, like, and I know Kevin Parker, my boy Kevin, I gotta bring him onto one of these streams, man, and just talk Marvel stuff. I know he is sitting back relaxing like Thanos. Now I can rest. The work is done.
He's already doing videos of people because people are still complaining that it's not canon, so he's giving receipts. He's giving video evidence of Kevin Feige saying it, and just like now they're definitely confirmed.
Yeah,
that's why I was saying the last time we were talking that I really hope that the Bobby Morse from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that friend that Hawkeye knows, so that they can bring even more into it.
Yep. And again, even talking about Spider-Man's, the suit that he makes at the end, I thought it was, again, when you look at No Way Home, this was the whole Home trilogy was an origin story, and this was the movie that solidified that. Because I've always kind of had a problem with the MCU suit in general, where I was like, it's cool, the technology and stuff is cool, the design, it's all right.
Very
but
Iron Man.
I like but I like the classic Spider-Man look, and I'm sure he, again, with him working with these other variants of Peter, maybe there was something in him too that's like, man, they didn't have any of that stuff. They just did it with their own heart, their own wit, and spandex, and made it work. So
even if their next arc is to have Venom come in,
Yeah.
I want to like the suit in Spider-Man 3 was fine. It was like a black version of his regular suit with like
Yeah.
even the web design. I want to see a matte black,
Yep.
just like the comics. It was very simple, but it was one of my favorite suits.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just with the big white spider, the white eyes, and just all black.
Yeah.
That's simple yet effective. I want to see that.
Yeah. You mentioned Hawkeye too, because even at the end, we see it's like Christmas time.
Hmm.
So, and obviously it's all in New York. So I'm sure maybe we'll get some references, but then, you know, I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
There's
Hawkeye never met Spider-Man, right? At least not that I know of.
maybe not
Oh,
directly.
Civil War. Civil
Yeah.
War. Sorry. He did meet him in Civil War. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're fighting and stuff. But,
Yeah.
the one thing they might mention is that Yelena says she wants to see the new and improved Statue of Liberty, but by the end of the Spider-Man movie, that shield is off and the torch
Yep.
is back.
Yep.
So, I mean, that could be referenced like, oh, I guess it's not new and improved anymore.
Right.
It's back to normal.
Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to think. What else haven't we covered about this film? Yeah, I feel like we covered. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
Oh.
I mean, we talked about villains. We talked about May's death. We talked about obviously the other Spider-Man. Yes, they're in the film.
Ned having Doctor Strange powers when he should be
like
he really like if they're gonna go that direction, he like I like the Green Goblin, but judging by when I watched watching the 90s the 90s Spider-Man cartoon was cheesy as hell.
Yeah.
But I really thoroughly enjoyed the arc with the Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Mostly I think because Mark Hamill voiced the Hobgoblin, that made it even better, but it was just there was so much more to the Hobgoblin than the Green Goblin to me. It was like Hobgoblin wasn't insane, he was just a criminal that got the stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
So one has to ask what happens with Ned, because his character essentially, I mean, he becomes, in the comics anyway, he becomes Hobgoblin. So one would have to ask, okay, in this version, what will, because I'm telling you, man, there was a lot of foreshadowing for sure, especially in this one where I was like, oh, you know, he was like, and he told Peter, he was like, don't worry, I'm not gonna become a villain and ever kill you. And I was like, you know, I don't know. That's kind of what your character is based off of. So how does he become? Oh, but you know what? Okay, maybe not. But maybe. Could some pieces of technology stay in their universe that were blipped over, for better lack of words? So, like, you know, Green Goblin's glider, for instance. Did that go back, or did that stay in Spider-Man's universe?
They didn't show it, and one thing that was brought up too is like, how did that piece of symbiote stay behind if it didn't belong in the universe?
Right. Yeah.
You know, there's like little things that should have gone but didn't.
Yeah, I don't. And another thing too, speaking with Venom, like even this is after Venom 2, and I learned this from my brother because he was telling me about in the comics, the symbiote, they have like this hive mind. So they can see things across different universes. So in the end of Venom 2, when he seen Spider-Man, he recognized Spider-Man, which makes me wonder, okay, so the Venom that you see in Spider-Man 3 is all connected to the Venom that we know of Tom Hardy's because they share this hive mind. So they can see across different universes. So I was like, oh, I didn't know that about Venom, essentially. So, yeah, man, I'm still a little bummed out that we probably won't see Tom Hardy. Because, like, face off against Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I thought that would have been really enjoyable. It's just silly, like, the whole purpose of that end credit screen, you know, in Venom 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home was just for the setup of that little itty-bitty goo of symbiote. But again, I think that's to say that's leading to other things. We want to see Spider-Man have the black suit. And I've always wondered that, like, hey, he usually got the black suit first before Eddie Brock did, or Venom. So that makes sense that in this version, this is how, you know, he ends up getting the suit. And then, mark my word, I think they're going to do Flash Thompson as Venom, for sure.
When those three were talking about the aliens they fought, it was really funny when Andrew was like, I haven't fought an alien. I'm still stuck on you guys fighting an alien.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like Toby was referencing Venom and Tom was referencing Thanos stuff.
Yeah. Man, well, I think we covered everything. Is there anything else you could think of for this film? Anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that covers it. I think.
Yeah, man. All I gotta say, if anyone who else is like rewatching this stream, definitely go see the movie. It is worth it. For those who have seen it, obviously you guys know what we're talking about. It's all this is our spoiler talk. So if you clicked on the video, you entered at your own risk. But yeah, man, it lives up to the hype. I'm gonna be talking about it for days because man, it was an experience, and it's really cool to say that. Like I haven't felt this way about a movie in a long time, to where there's been so much hype for over a year, and it lives up to it, man. And it's crazy. Even seeing TikTok, blowing up with the whole Spider-Man No Way Home stuff. Even seeing that in the theater and the previews, I'm like, what? This is crazy.
I'm gonna wait for like a week to talk about it on TikTok.
Yeah.
I have mutuals that haven't seen it that can't see it at the moment, and I just want to give everyone plenty of time. And like, it's funny. I was commenting something on one of Jake Kev's videos. He's been dealing with a lot of trolls.
Yeah.
So I was helping report one.
Yep.
And I said, "Oh, I think it worked." And the guy replied to my comment and said, "No, it didn't. Aunt May dies in Spider-Man. Like he tried to spoil it
come
to me."
on.
And
Dude.
I had just got out of the theater seeing the movie for the first time. I was like, "Ah, you can't get me." I already saw it.
Man, let me tell you this. Like last night, and I've been avoiding for the last couple of days until last night. I was avoiding my YouTube app. I was avoiding Instagram and Facebook. And what's funny is like when I got home, as soon as I opened up my YouTube app, right at the top was someone that had like a screen recording of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming in. I'm like, I am so glad that I seen it when I did, because there's just some horrible garbage human beings that post stuff. Like just let people experience it, man. You got to experience it. Let somebody else go to the theaters and see it for themselves. Like
there was even a TikTok account somebody created that said Spidey spoilers LOL. Like people make being an asshole their entire identity.
Guys, anyone watching this, don't be a garbage human being. Go watch the movie. Don't spoil it. Because even I know there's people even outside of the U.S. they won't be able to see it like until after January or January at best. So don't post spoilers. Just talk about it with mutuals. Go watch it in the stream, like here in the comments here on this video. That's fine. You guys can talk about it. Like that's what this is what the stream is for. It's for people who have seen it, so we can chat about it and talk. So do it there where it's safe, but don't ruin other people's experience. So other than that, man, Xanatos, you have an amazing day. The movie was amazing. I don't know. I'm just gonna go read some Spider-Man comic books and think about my life.
I asked someone, I was like, all right, so I haven't read too many comic runs. It's been decades since I've read any Spider-Man. And I'm like, what is a good Spider-Man run? And he immediately said, you mentioned it earlier, the Kraven the Hunter run. I forget what it's called.
Yep, Kraven's Last Hunt. Great.
Yes. That was the first thing he mentioned. And then he said Todd McFarlane's stuff too.
If you're looking for one, hold on. There's one I want to show you since you mentioned it. If you're looking for, let me get my headphones back on, because you mentioned graphic novels, man. If you can go to a bookstore, go get this one. If you're looking for, how can I say this? It's written by Chip Zdarsky, who, if you like the Ultimate Spider-Man run, was just phenomenal. And you'll recognize the artwork as well. But Spider-Man life story, it literally looks at Spider-Man like from start to end, like to the start of his life as Spider-Man to the end of his life. And it's in real time. So it's like, how like Marvel Comics has always done that thing. And even DC does this as well, where like, you don't know like if the character's age, like Spider-Man has been around since the 60s, but then still around today. And you're like, okay, all these events have taken place, like essentially there's no relative date. You can't pick it apart. But this book, it looks at his life like from 1960s to present time, like him actually aging and going through like pinnacle points of Spider-Man's story and history throughout his life. Go get this one. I recommend it highly. You can get a digital copy or physical. Spider-Man life story, trust me, start with this one, and you won't be disappointed. Like
That's good, because from what I've noticed from Marvel Comics is even if issue 1 of something, no matter where you start in Marvel, it's in the middle of a story.
right,
It's always in the middle of something. But yeah, I'm gonna try and look at Marvel Unlimited.
Yep.
And it's that's probably on there. I'm sure.
Yeah. If you're looking for a really good Spider-Man story, this is for anyone. I'm telling you, if they ever make a movie, oh man, I mean, honestly, they could even do this with they could do whatever they want now. I mark my word. I don't think we're done seeing Andrew Garfield. Maybe Tobey Maguire. You know, he's a little bit older, but I mean, hey, I would still be down to see like an older. What other stories could you do with an older Spider-Man? You know what I mean? Like Tom Holland is younger. You know what I mean? And his purpose is in the MCU. But there's still other stories outside of that market where we could use like an older Spider-Man where they're like, hey, we might not be able to, you know, again, even Tom Holland said if he's playing Spider-Man at 30 years old, something's wrong, right? So
Toby could actually be the one to mentor Miles. I just thought of that.
They could bring Miles in his universe.
Yeah.
And probably kill him off. I can see that happening. You know, but it would be with purpose. It would be with purpose. And I think that would be really interesting to see. You know what I mean? But again, I don't think we're done with them, man. I really don't think that that's just a one and done thing. You know what I mean? Because this movie is it's already blowing up. You can mark my word. I feel like with Morbius and all this other stuff and talk of a Sinister Six, you think they're going to jump the multiverse again to come fight Tom Holland when there may be a Spider-Man that exists in their world? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I mean, Morbius, he doesn't exist in the MCU, at least not that I know of. He's probably in like Venom's world because he referenced Venom.
Yeah, and I kind of saw Morbius as like a nothing villain, so I was really confused as to why he's getting his own movie.
Yeah,
but it's probably to serve a higher purpose of continuing the broader story.
Yeah,
which, you know, it's cool anyway. I'm actually kind of hyped for the movie because it does look cool.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep. So, I mark my word. I don't think we're done with Toby and Andrew, man. I don't think that we're done. There was a lot of foreshadowing in this movie. And I feel like there's potential where they could still use them in other aspects. Maybe it's not their own movie, but maybe their particular Spider-Man has a pivotal role in some other villain's movie. You know what I mean? I could definitely see that happening.
Unless they cut it from the movie. Also, Vulture was in the Morbius trailer.
Yeah.
Like, he was still in like prison jumpsuit, but he talked to him for a very brief moment at least.
Kind of confusing, right? Because it's still the same. I don't know, man. Is it a different variant of Vulture? But we got variants of Vulture now. I don't know, man. That is kind of confusing because in my brain, I'm thinking that Morbius is in a different universe than the MCU, which I'm sure is a fact. Like Sony has their own little Sony verse that's going on. But I guess I don't know, man. That's just so confusing. Because I mean,
Andrew Poster could have been a misdirect too, which would be annoying, but it easily could have been. You never know.
Yep. So we'll find out. But go get this book, man. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Spider-Man life story. Yeah, you will be like, we'll have to do another stream just about that alone. You'll be like, oh my God, that book is amazing. It really is. So anyway, we're going to get off of here and bring this video to an end. You guys have been great. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed Spider-Man No Way Home as much as we did. I will be back Monday to talk about something. I don't know what we're going to talk about Monday. Probably some Star Wars stuff. But right now, it's just really fun getting into. I like to mix it up. And I think Wednesdays is going to be our day really on the channel here where we do kind of like a mashup of things. So midweek mashup is what I call that. So like that's what we'll talk about, like, you know, comic book stuff, other things outside of just the world of Star Wars. So Xanatos, be out on the lookout for that because, you know, I'd love to invite you in to talk more about comic book stuff, man. I really enjoy that. So you guys be easy. Peace.